I'm back. So is Rachel. We This is our first foray at attempting a YouTube video. We had a conversation earlier, and I said, "Hey, Rachel, what do you think about trying to YouTube?" And she was kind of, but I said, "Come on, come on." I'm sure we won't get anybody here because we're brand new, not because nobody cares. But I think we should try it. And she said, okay. So here we are. Hello, world. Welcome to YouTube. This is my first time on YouTube, so I'm assuming it's yours as well. A fair assumption. And I'm here to take suggestions on how this whole thing works. I seem to have somehow taught YouTube that I want to be recommended in endless succession of either videos on narcissists or like now that I watch some old quotes, I get all these ridiculous self-help silliness stuff. Like 6 rules of stoicism to build unshakable confidence. Oh, there's always such simple dumb stuff too. Like uh, never be emotional when logic is required. Or some shit like that, you know? Like, that's not. What is this shit? That's not, like, helpful to anybody. Or, um, like, before I started the stream, I was looking at the, how you call it? Just scrolling through my feed on my phone. And one of the videos said, 6 ways to tell if a woman is toxic. It had 600,000 views. And if you just like sit on it for a second, it'll start playing and it'll have the captions to say what it says, you know? Number one, she's always the victim. If a woman is always pointing fingers at somebody else and blaming others and is always the victim, that's a good sign that she's toxic. Okay. It's like, it's not exactly wrong, but it's just, like this thing has got 600,000 views. You're saying just the most obvious things imaginable. But what's interesting is on the computer, oh, I see, I'm on a different account. Let me switch accounts. See, it looks more like what it does on the phone. Yeah, there it is. 6 ways to tell a woman is toxic. 6 undeniable signs a narcissist is cheating on you. Why am I getting these things?
I don't know. That's stuff that like I get, but it makes sense. Like for me, I actually click on them.
And why stoic living? They will beg for you. 7 strategies to make them beg for you. Weird things empaths do that only genuine empaths will understand. I I have never identified myself as an empath. Never watched any empath videos. Sigmund Freud's ultimate life lessons. People, me. All right, these quotes are gonna, I'm sure, be terrible.
They're gonna be, yeah.
So I'll go ahead and look at it. The consequence. Only the complete absence of sex can be considered a sexual deviation. Everything else is a matter of taste. That was open-minded of him, I suppose. But that absolute universal is too absolute. A woman should soften but not weaken a man. Fair enough. A father's death is the most important event, the most heartbreaking and poignant loss in a man's life. Maybe. Before you diagnose yourself with depression or low self esteem, first make sure that you are not, in fact, just surrounded by assholes. That's a great quote.
Yeah, that is.
That's an amazing quote. Who knew Sigmund Freud wrote such a good
I
quote?
didn't know that he wrote that quote at all.
The only shame in masturbation is the shame of not doing it well. The more perfect a person is on the outside, the more demons they have on the inside. Maybe. Sometimes. I don't know about that one.
Sometimes, yeah.
We are never so defenseless as when we love, and never so helplessly unhappy as when we lose the object of love or his love. One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. Okay. Kind of backwards looking, but fine. Masturbation is one of the primary abodes. The primary addiction and subsequent addictions, alcohol, tobacco, morphine, are only its substitutes. Oh, so I smoke because I can't masturbate enough? Is that why? Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the small matters, trust the mind. In the large ones, the heart. The secret of the human soul lies in the psychic dreams of childhood. Get to the bottom of these dramas, and the healing will come. Here's a video here: how to make self improvement as addictive as pornography.
Oh my god.
Most people do not really want freedom because freedom involves responsibility. Most people are frightened of responsibility. The thing is, pornography is only addictive just for some people. Nothing costs so much in life as illness and ignoring an illness. I mean, the thing is, if you're going to make a comparison, how to make self improvement as addictive as heroin, maybe? The scope of one's personality is defined by the magnitude of that problem, which is capable of driving a person out of his wits. I'm not sure what to make of that one. It is an honor to have plenty of enemies. Yeah, kind of. Happiness is a child's dream fulfilled in maturity. It's a nice quote.
Yeah.
I like that one. We do not randomly choose each other. We meet only those who already exist in our subconscious. Well, no. You do not stop looking for strength and confidence outside, but you should look inside yourself. They have always been there. Okay. A busy man is seldom visited by idle friends. No flies fly to a boiling pot. I'm not quite so into productivity as he is. We are so made that we can only derive intense enjoyment from a contrast and only very little from a state of things. Yeah, kind of. Limitation is in the possibility of enjoyment raises the value of the enjoyment. Yes, generally speaking. Maturity is the ability to postpone gratification. Is it though? A man is sometimes more generous when he has little money than when he has much, perhaps to keep from thinking he has none at all. It may be true. Not sure. History is just new people making old mistakes. That's a pretty good quote. I'm actually impressed with Freud's quotes
me
here.
too.
The most important part of your life is to understand yourself from the inside. Okay, I'll try.
That makes sense coming from a psychologist.
We adults don't understand children because we don't understand our own childhood anymore. Okay. From error to error, one discovers the entire truth. That's a very, any kind of way of thinking. Out of your vulnerabilities will come your strength. That's, even though it's Lao Tzu-ish, it's true because at least it shows a process. The first indication of stupidity is a complete lack of shame. That's a good one. That one is proved by um, Cucky weakness. His complete lack of shame over his horribly inappropriate behavior is, well, in this instance, certainly it also correlates with high level of stupidity. A joke is the shortest way from one person to another. Nice little witticism. A man should not strive to eliminate his complexes, but to get into accord they are legitimately what directs his conduct in the world. My complexes do? Like apartment complexes? Friendship is an art of keeping distance, while love is an art of intimacy. Okay. Sounds okay to me. He who knows how to wait need make no questions. Well suited to remember that, Rachel and I.
Yes.
Another majestic INJ. Yo, I'm here to empath. All right, you empath your ass off. Like, no, he's not a YouTuber. He's this guy who keeps calling Rachel's phone and sometimes leaving hateful voice messages because I guess he hates me and he can't get me, so he's going after Rachel.
How come, like, you don't? I'm surprised that you don't get any of the phone calls. That's weird.
I mean, that's why he's cocky weakness in part, right?
Yeah.
He's he he's obviously very threatened by me, intimidated or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, um, it's kind of mature to delay gratification. You have to be disciplined enough to sacrifice the future. Well, that's basically what Rachel and I are attempting to do now is get all the way past puberty into early adulthood. Humans' intrinsic nature manifests in its misunderstandings. I'm not, I guess that's not exactly wrong. Every normal person is really only partly normal. Okay, good to know. The best fights are the ones we don't fight. Not necessarily. The only person with whom you have to compare ourselves is you in the past, and the only person better you should be is who you are now. Poorly constructed sentence. Dreams are never concerned with trivia. Envy is destructible. Destructive. Don't be tempted by it. Live by your own rules. I agree with that. The ego is not master in its own house. Nothing is past in the unconscious. Again, very SINE frame here. Conscience is the internal perception of the rejection of a particular wish operating in us. The weakness of my position does not imply a strengthening of yours. True. Recognizing a problem is half the success in solving it. Not true. Not true at all. Your ratios are way out. People are more moral than you think and far more immoral than you can imagine. Or people are more moral than they think and far more immoral than they can imagine. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. I agree. How bold one gets when one is sure of being loved. True. You know, the voice of the intellect is quiet, but it never tires of repeating, and listeners are found. I guess. Rather than living our lives, we are lived by unknown and uncontrollable forces. I mean, if we can't know them, how do we know we can't control them? Love in the form of longing and deprivation lowers the self regard. Well, yeah, I mean, longing and longing and deprivation is not love. A woman will never want sex with a man who doesn't get her hints. I'm pretty dense in those things. We seek more to take suffering away from ourselves than to gain pleasure. Well, yeah, suffering sucks more than pleasure's good. The first human who hurled an insult instead of a stone was the founder of civilization. Thank you, Sigmund Freud. Thank you. It's proper word focus. The mind is like an iceberg. It floats with 1/7 of its bulk above water. Not mine. My mind floats with almost all of it above water. Those who have eyes to see and ears to hear will soon convince themselves that mortals cannot hide any secret. I mean, secretive people can. I can't. The energetic and successful man is the one who succeeds in transforming the fantasies of desire into reality. Yeah, well, I'm trying to do that. Thought is action and rehearsal. Um, the profound obscurity of the background of our ignorance is scarcely illuminated by a few glimmers of insight. Hmm. The virtuous man contents himself with dreaming that which the wicked man does in actual life. I mean, how like virtuous people dream of doing wicked things? Perfect, eternal, hate purified love exists only between the addict and the drug. That's true.
Yeah.
Words call forth effects and are the universal means of influencing human beings. Sigmund Freud, I am liking you more and more. You're saying some wise things. If a woman no longer wants sex, it's a sign that soon she may start questioning her emotional connection with her male partner, reflecting on unfulfilled needs or unresolved issues in the relationship. So far, so good. Dogs love their friends and bite their enemies, quite unlike people who are incapable of pure love and always have to mix love and hate. Really?
I don't think.
I don't think so. I mean, I agree. Nobody can be purely loving all the time. Love and work, work and love. That's all there is. What about fucking around? Public self is a conditioned construct to the inner psychological self. Not really, for me. Originally, the ego included everything. Later, it detaches it from itself, the external world. That's very much not true. No need in childhood is strong as the need for a father's protection. I mean, it depends how much danger you're in, I guess. We are what we are because we have been what we have been. Very SI focused. Very nurture over nature. A woman who lacks sex begins to talk more about sex. Who lacks sex speaks about sex hungry, talks about food. A person who has no money about money. And our oligarchs and bankers talk about morality. Sigmund Freud has not yet said always eat plenty of cheese, but I do believe that was one of the cornerstones of his psychological practice. Dreams are often most profound when they seem the most crazy. Okay. I don't really get a lot of profanity from dreams. No one who shares a delusion ever recognizes it as such. Well, that's true, but then the problem with statements like that, okay, I want to go back to that one. It is true that no one who states a delusion ever recognizes it as such. The problem with the quote is no one who ever shares a delusion ever recognizes it as such, is that it's this cheap and easy retort to somebody. You go, you're deluded. And you go, I'm not deluded. And then, well, as Sigmund Freud said, no one who ever shares a delusion ever recognizes it as such. Well, sure, that might be the case, but that doesn't mean that people who don't recognize what they're saying as delusions are therefore delusional. So it's not a useful quote, it's a misleading quote, and it will be misused for evil. Ergo, I do not like it. Civilized society is perpetually menaced with disintegration through the primary hostility of men towards one another. Maybe it is a definition of delusional. Nothing that is mentally our own can ever be lost. Okay. With words, one man can make another blessed or drive him to despair. True. Everyone owes nature a death. I like that a lot. Experience teaches us that the world is not a nursery. True enough. Mine hasn't exactly taught me that. If youth knew, if age could, every man must find out for himself in what particular fashion he can be saved. That's pretty true.
Yeah.
Pretty cool quote. We enter the world with loneliness and lonely leave it. I mean, who knows if we enter the world lonely? Who remembers their birth?
Although I will say I was impressed with most of those quotes. I mean,
Yeah, they were better
weren't
than
as
most quotes.
ridiculous. Yeah, they weren't as ridiculous as I thought they would be.
Let's see what these ones say. Not everyone wants to see you succeed. Some will even go out of their way to see you fail.
I hate that truth.
Learn to be self-sufficient and realize you are immortal who will suffer horribly later if you don't become independent and resourceful.
Oh my god, that makes me feel fucking terrible. Like, I will. That's like.
That's what we're doing right now. Is learning to be self-sufficient. Now, granted, we have the bowling alley bumpers on for easy mode, or I had my whole life anyway. You haven't, but so for us, independent and resourceful and self-sufficient are maybe wouldn't qualify as those things from other people's perspectives, but for us, we're attempting to do this right now, right? So that's how it is. You were surrounded by people when you were born? Did that mean they all got to see you naked? Weren't you embarrassed? Stop worrying about what other people think. Honestly, who gives a shit?
Who said that? I mean, that's great. I mean, that's really great, but like.
Keep to yourself. Stay away from idiots. Stupidity is contagious. Not true. Stupidity is not contagious. It's ridiculous. Your friends want you to do good, but not better than them. The rest don't care. True. Maybe. Learn how to say fuck it and mean it. See, the thing is,
Isn't it cool?
I think that fuck it is something that you usually say before you do something that's not good for you. Don't say yes to everyone to make them comfortable. Check with yourself too before you commit. Yeah.
That's easier
Good advice, but
said to a 9 Enneagram than.
many people don't like you, especially if they see you as a competition. As I should say, as competition. Well, that's true for me. Rule your life with your mind, not with your feelings. Every bad decision we have made in life, there was more emotion in it than there was mind, every single one. Now, the thing is, what's interesting is we saw a quote previously that said, trust your mind for small matters and your heart for big ones. So, this quote is more or less bullshit in general because matters that require logic, rational thought, critical thinking, etc., are not subjective matters. The idea that you need to be objective and rule your life with logic is bullshit. And it is absolutely not the case that every bad decision we have made in life, there was more emotion to it than there was mind. What got me, consistently going, yeah, it's fine. I'll drink some more alcohol today. It was always my mind talking talking me into things and being convincing. Sure, my emotion may have wanted it, but my emotion still wanted it when I stopped, and I stopped in the same way for by referring to my mind. My emotion was irrelevant in either cases. In either case. Let's see. Always listen to your gut. Somehow it knows many things you wouldn't expect. After the quote they just said, rule with your mind, right? Now is listen. Now use your gut. Know your worth. Never put yourself in the bargain bin, or that's where others will value you. Okay. Time truly flies. Be grateful always because it can always be worse. Live like there's no tomorrow and do what you love. What worthless platitudes? Welcome to worthlessplatitudes.com. Don't get bogged down in regrets. No one's perfect. Don't chase happiness. Just stay positive and you'll experience joy. Worthlessplatitudes.com. Pay close attention to those who say they love you because so often they don't. They only use you. Trust in yourself and your first instinct on decisions.
Wow.
Wow, that's a cynical, cynical kind of approach to life, huh? Lower your expectations. Having high expectations of yourself and of others is a recipe for chronic dissatisfaction in life. This is a horrible quote. Except that some folks love to point fingers and blame others. You will be blamed for things you haven't done and for things that haven't even happened yet. Well, yeah, I mean, I get blamed every once in a while, but I don't find myself subject to a lot of blaming so much as shitting on me. Stop complaining, whining, and nagging. It's wasted energy. Who's listening anyway? I mean, I sometimes like to complain. Realize you cannot control everything or everyone, but you can control yourself. No, you can't. You're more likely to control other people than you are yourself. At least you can have a criterion to see if you've succeeded in controlling other people. Always move in your own direction, not according to society, friends, or family. Just ridiculous nonsense platitude. Just be true to yourself, and the right worthless platitude will show up when you're ready. Leave the house messy and the yard unmowed for the weekend. You will remember the fun, not the clean house or yard. Make time for fun. This is the anti-Jordan Peterson quote here. Learn to say no. Be frugal. Eat only real food. No wheat and limit carbs. What? Excuse me? The more you know, the dumber you sound to stupid people. I don't think they think you sound dumb. I think they just hate that you don't. Pay attention to the negative signs that people give off and immediately disconnect from them. It will save you a lot of pain and, more importantly, wasted time. Negative signs, huh? Never take the responsibility that does not belong to you. I'm a big believer in this one. Like, I'm a believer in not apologizing unless I've done something wrong. Never sell out and trust your instincts. Also, most importantly, never take loved ones for granted. It's like, it's just a mix of totally different things. Never sell out, trust your instincts, value your loved ones. Have firm boundaries and be discerning about who you let into your life. This video has 304,000 views in 2 months. If you want to help yourself, find someone worthy to serve. Through service, you gain experience, contacts, and a reputation as a reliable and accountable ally. It's only through an apprenticeship that one becomes a master. There's life lessons I learned at 30 to avoid regrets when I'm 60. That's what the video is called. 304,000 views. Buy real estate, land, anything you can afford. Yeah, okay. I'm going to agree with you there. The less possessions you own, the happier and less burden you will have. Burden you will have in your life. I generally agree with that too. Possessions have maintenance costs. Life is often very ambiguous. Sometimes there isn't a right or wrong decision or choice. Things are not always completely clear. You may not get the answer, so you just have to wing it. Useless platitudes. Deceive yourself and watch as all your problems go away. Don't leave someone to teach them a lesson. Leave because you learned yours. That's true. Your mind can get you into trouble if your logical psychopaths, for example, might be logical in the extreme to the point of cruelty, brutality, and disregard. I agree with you here, Lamb. Life is far from over, but it's very short too. If you want to do something, don't delay it, but don't sacrifice what you want for what you want right now. That's a good point.
Yeah.
When in doubt, just take the next small step. Pretty good advice, really. If you know what it is. Make and keep friends with the people you want to emulate, not the people you think will be most likely to accept you. The people you associate with will shape your future. I mean, it's like, what about, how about people you like? Does that come into play at all? Be careful who you marry and even more careful who you have kids with. Oh, thank you. Because I had that down under the careless heading. Slow down and realize that mistakes are essential to learning anything. Why do we need the slow down and realize part? Get yourself together before you get any older. The older you are, the harder it is to change. Not untrue, but quit busting my chops, motherfucker. No one cares except family. Kinda. Start saving your money. Don't spend it on homes you can't afford, fancy cars, and running your credit cards. In the end, you'll be much happier. Okay, GE Dom. You're right, but, you know, nothing is actually as bad as it seems or as great as you think it will be. Um, no, some things are. Take good care of your health. Without health, nothing will matter. No amount of money can bring you joy for suffering. That's true. But I want to go back to the previous thing. It sounds to me like this guy is bad at evaluating how bad something is going to be or how good something will be or is. Nothing's ever as bad as it seems. Some things are as bad as they seem.
That's true. It was said.
And it's nothing's ever as great as you think it's going to be. Some things are. You know, I don't know, the Johnny concert comes to mind.
Yeah. Well, I think of that as being like better than I thought it was gonna be. I don't know.
I expected it to be great and it was. But the point is, he's trying to say is things never, things never under promise and over deliver for some, in your head for some reason. But I think it's just because he's bad at it. All right, here we go. Back to forward. Let's see what happens. Marry before 30, have kids before 35, work and earn actively and sufficiently until and before 40. Make passive income workable before 50. Plan to retire from work activity before 60. Do everything for family, but expect nothing from it, not even from a spouse. This is very much a TE, Dom. This fucker is such an ESTJ, right?
Yeah.
You'll never be sorry for telling someone you love them. Do it before it's too late. Well, what if you don't love them, though? There are people I don't love. I probably not be glad to tell them that. Save a little money every week or month. Nothing gives you happiness like financial welfare. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Happiness is a positive cash flow. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Not bad advice. Not everybody wants to be your friend, and that's okay. You really don't want everyone as a friend anyway. I mean, you just don't have time or energy for very many special relationships, you know? You don't always have to be going, being, and doing. It's really okay to just chill. But I'm trying to follow your previous instructions about being meow by 30 and meow by 40 and meow by 50. Give back. Even if it's donating your tag sale leftovers or handing a dollar bill over to someone less fortunate, do it. It'll make you feel good. Okay, well, fine, but that's why you should do it? It'll make you feel good? Isn't that kind of a selfish reason to do it? Everything happens for a reason, always. I'm of the mindset that some things happen for reasons. Do not fear getting hurt. You can't grow if you don't hurt. I grow best when I'm not hurting, actually. Don't ruin your health in order to earn money. You will end up spending your money to recover your health, and that is not reciprocal. I think what he means is, and that's not a zero-sum equation, you know. Be kind to people without allowing them to take advantage of your good nature. That's true.
Yeah.
For sure. Efforts never go in vain. Yes, they do. For sure they do. Often. How others see you is not important. How you see yourself means everything. Both are hugely important, actually. Because if you're going to accurately understand and see yourself, obviously you need to understand how others see you as well. You can't correctly understand yourself without understanding how your affect is understood by the people. The only way to live like a king is to work like a slave. Keep that in mind. Everything you need will come to you at the perfect time. Sometimes that's dead on. You came into this huge world alone and will go out of it alone, hence can make any impossible thing possible by yourself, okay? By yourself only. I mean, just because you can be born and die alone doesn't mean there's nothing you can't do by yourself. If you punish the truth, expect to be lied to. That's an excellent quote. You will look back at your life with much more regret for the things that you didn't do than for the things that you did. I really don't know about that quote. I've heard this before. I really don't know about it. Things don't make us happy. I agree. Experiences do. Hopefully, they're good ones.
Yeah.
Keep your mouth shut whenever you are happy. Keep your mouth shut whenever you are sad. Keep your mouth shut instead of making this video. How about that, motherfucker? Stop comparing yourself with those who started 10 years before you. Focus on your own journey. I'm not comparing myself to people who started 10 years before me. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. That's true. If you waste money, you can earn it again. If you miss the moment, it can never be returned. Live life with opened eyes, ears, and heart. Okay. Strong people are always simple. Really? You spend your first 20 years worrying what people think about you. Next 20 swearing that you don't care what people think about you. And the next 20 realizing that they aren't thinking about you. This guy seems to be thinking a lot more about what other people are thinking about him than I ever do. I mean, I respond to what people say about me sometimes. Um, I am driven to try to control perceptions to some extent, but I'm not worrying about what people think about me. Sometimes I try to explain my lack of popularity, but I'm not sure that's really worrying about what people think about me. I just figure it runs the gamut, you know? Like I said, realizing people aren't thinking about you. Yeah, they are. People are thinking about me. Not constantly. It's not like everyone's always thinking about. It's not like everyone's always thinking about Eric, right? But absolutely, people are thinking about me. Just like I'm thinking about other people. Earlier, we were talking about Vincent Gallo, Hunter Thompson, etc. We were maybe talking about Ruben and Acacia. You know, yes, we're thinking about other people. Of course, we have opinions about other people. And unless you're a completely withdrawn hermit, then people are going to have opinions about you. It's called your reputation. Meow. Are you a meowing time surprise? Are you full of meowing time delights? There. Good enough. I didn't fill it up all the way, but let me get you some more food, Mr. Man. You're running low on your plate. It's like I've spent a good portion of today live streaming, right? You know, my earlier stream was 7 hours long. This one we're already at, looks like 40 minutes or something. And yet, nevertheless, it really represents, call it, half of my waking hours today. I've been awake about 14 hours. Maybe a little more than half, right? 8/14 or whatever. 4/7. So there's another 3/7 of the day that I haven't been streaming since I've been awake. I'd be curious as to, during the 4/7 of the day that I haven't been streaming, how many times this cat has eaten. And then I could extrapolate from there the other 3/7 of the day and figure out the total number of times he eats per day. I'm guessing 5 to 10 times a day. Which really is quite a few times. I mean, you and I, random viewer, and I, meaning Eric, we might eat 10 times a day too. Like, I could go for something right now. I'm gonna go for the same thing I've been going for a lot lately. Salami. But, well, in if I do 8 to 10 times a day, most of those eatings are just a few bites of some snacks I walk by, right? The trouble he doesn't just have frequency, he has real quantity too. When the two cats go through a full bag of cat food, mostly I think it's him. He probably ate like 6/8 of it or 3/4 of it. I refill Capillo's plate with food. I refill his plate at least 3 or 4 times for every time I have to refill Capillo's.
Capillo eats from Trouble's plate sometimes.
Well, sometimes.
Sometimes.
But as a general rule, she eats from her plate. He eats from his.
Yeah.
If her plate has no food on it, then you should go over there.
Sometimes it's just to be like.
Just to be a bitch.
Yeah.
Well, understandably, because she's gonna want a little justice since Troll is such a dick to her.
Yeah. She's gotta retaliate something.
No, well, here, Lamb, what I'm saying is I eat 10 times a day, including things like what I just did, which was eat like a pinch's worth of salami.
Pinch's worth.
So, I was playing around with the YouTube add a famous song to your thing, and we're able to do a couple of good videos, shorts of Rachel dancing with Falco and Derek Commissar. But there was an additional video I really wanted to do, which I'll show you here. I wanted to say to this guy, dude, I'm serious. There's definitely something, and then have the song, in your eyes, play it, right? But unfortunately, when you use, as far as I can tell, when you use those songs in YouTube Shorts, it won't let you start the song anywhere but at the beginning of the short. And you can turn up or down the volume. There's a mixer on it, right, for the song versus the original audio versus a voiceover, potentially. But the problem is, it's like one setting for the whole duration of it. What I need to be able to do is like duck it down low or turn it all the way mute while I'm talking, and then have it go in your eyes like that, right? I don't think you can do that on YouTube Shorts. I wasn't able to figure out how to do it. I don't normally play around with those songs very much, but if I could, in fact, do that, I'd probably use those kind of songs a lot more, because what you really want is to be like, to have songs drop in the right moments. And you like walk away and like some song, I don't know, just imagine some song doesn't exist, right? Like, I don't need you no more, you know? It's like you're trying to make a point about a breakup or something. You want the song to come in when you want it to come in, not be there the entire duration of the short. So until I can figure that out, which I can only do if, in fact, it's possible, I probably won't use too many songs. I could Google it, of course, see if I can figure it out.
In your eyes.
Your eyes. Okay, so let's look at this. Some more. Never let others know your weakness. Instead, always try to show your positive weaknesses. I mean, it's very competition with everything. You know, don't tell your friends that you're happy. Don't make them angry. Don't tell your enemies that you're unhappy. Don't make them happy. I don't know about this guy's friends. Time flies. One day you are 30, the next you're 50. Plan now for what you want 50 to look like. Okay. It's a little late, but okay. Last but not least, you are here for a reason that you may not know, but be patient. You beat a billion odds by being here. Be grateful for the little things in life that others take for granted. All right. Like the fact that this video is over. This person says, I spent 700. Okay, Eric, are you ready? I have a question. If you go get a slice of pizza, you see the slice you like, do you ask for that specific slice out of the others? Or feel like you're being bullied because it looks better? I wouldn't feel like I was being a bully if I asked for the slice I wanted. I just don't ever buy pizza by the slice. So if you're asking what would actually happen, well, what actually would happen is I don't buy pizza by the slice. Most places in California don't sell it like that. So if they're gonna give you the shittiest slice from a piece of pie, a pizza, and you notice they're going for the shitty slice, I probably would just be like, whatever, I'll take it. I wouldn't say anything, you know. If I had a preference when I got in there, like, let's say the pizza was all cheese slices, but there was one pineapple slice. Okay, I want the pineapple slice. I'd say, can I get the pineapple slice, probably. So this says, I spent 748 days to find the 300 best motivational quotes. Do you believe the quotes channel, that he really spent 2 years finding the best motivational quotes? 2 years, huh? One day the people that don't even believe in you will tell everyone how they met you. When you build in silence, people don't know what to attack. That's a motivational quote. Loneliness is the price you pay when you start to improve yourself. Really? If someone is trying to bring you down, they're already below you. Yeah, that's true. Sometimes it's sadder than others. Failure is a bruise, not a tattoo. It's a good quote. But when I'm in an emo mood, the truth is everyone is going to hurt you. Yeah. Turn your wounds into wisdom.
That's the
Right.
yeah.
If you look at the people in your circle and you don't get inspired, you don't have a circle. You have a cage. A good life has some bad days too. But why do I need to be inspired by people around me? What does that even mean exactly? Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. Oh, that's freaking stupid. Excuse my French. When writing the story of your life, don't let anyone else hold the pen. Smiling doesn't necessarily mean you're happy. Sometimes it just means you're strong. Oh, God. It's better to be alone than in bad company. Yeah, that's true. Usually. Free yourself from society's advice. Most of them have no idea what they're doing. That's true, quotes guy here as you're demonstrating. The family you create is more important than the family you come from. It depends. They're both important. How many things would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? Nothing. There'd be no point in attempting anything. If you aren't willing to work for it, don't complain about not having it. Well, don't tell me what to do. One day, all those late nights and early mornings will pay off. Be valuable, not available. If you're brave enough to say goodbye, life will reward you with a new hello. Anti-SI. An eagle uses the storm to reach unimaginable heights. Okay, does he? If a man empties his purse into his head, no one can take it from him. What a dumb quote. The things hardest to bear are sweetest to remember. No. The best thing I ever did was stop telling people what's going on in my life. Well, fuck off. Words are like keys. If you choose them right, they can open any heart and shut any mouth. I can't seem to shut yours, even though I keep saying stupid things. If you only walk on sunny days, you'll never reach your destination. Oh, how insightful. People inspire you or they drain you. Pick them wisely. Why does people have to inspire or drain you? Like, why do I need inspiration from other people all the time? I'm not supposed to be a beginner. No one starts off being excellent. Do it alone. Do it broke. Do it tired. Do it scared. Just do it. Quit with your SE tyranny, doer. Never make a permanent decision based on temporary feelings. I mean, that's a good point. Playoffs don't just happen one day overnight. It's so perfect. Life has many different chapters for us. One bad chapter doesn't mean it's the end of the book. Whoa. My mind is blown again. Normality is paved roads. It's comfortable to walk, but no flowers grow there. No flowers grow in normality? Be proud you survived the days you thought you couldn't. I never thought there were any days I couldn't survive. You are at your strongest when you are calm. Maybe sometimes, depends. Judge no one, just improve yourself. I'm judging the fuck out of you, motherfucker. That's how I'm improving myself. Train your mind to be stronger than your feelings. Train your mouth to shut the fuck up. Don't overshare. Privacy is power. Transparency is power, dummy. This person's dumb. Problems are not stop signs, they're guidelines. Hey. Horrible quotes. Life is like a book. Some chapters are sad, some are happy, but all are necessary for the full story. These are the best quotes. It took you 2 years to find these quotes. The strongest people are not those who show strength in front of us, but those who fight battles we know nothing about. Shut up! The pain you feel today will be the strength you feel tomorrow. Will it? Sometimes we're tested not to show our weaknesses, but to discover our strengths. Great. Wonderful. Never tolerate disrespect, not even from yourself. I will disrespect myself all I want. Worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but gets you nowhere. That's kind of true. Depends what you're worrying about. A ship is safe in harbor, but that's not what ships are for. Good point. When you stop chasing the wrong things, the right ones catch up. Okay. There's no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs. focus on you, people come and go. That's very SP. Sometimes the things that break your heart end up fixing your vision. Your deepest, darkest moment may be the best thing that ever happens to you. Really? Learn to heal without venting to everyone. This person has clearly experienced some dark shit, probably. Time always exposes what you truly mean to someone. You're being judged no matter what, so be who you want to be. If you're not falling down occasionally, you're just coasting. So I can't fall down if I'm coasting. First, it hurts, then it makes you stronger. I don't want to learn from pain or become stronger from pain. That's such a bullshit notion. Work at your job and make a living, work on yourself and make a fortune. Mm-hmm. Striving for success without hard work is like trying to harvest where you haven't planted. This is not insightful at all. If you don't let go of the wrong people, you'll never meet the right people. If you don't control your mind, someone else will. What? Wait, what? There will always be someone who doesn't see your worth. Don't let it be you. I want to go back to that previous one. If you don't control your mind, someone else will. Do what no one else can do, and you will become what no one else can become. Make more moves and less announcements. Fair enough. Remember 5 years ago you dreamed about being where you are now? Think about it. No, I refuse to think about it. I did not dream about where I would be in 5 years. Playing it safe is the most dangerous thing you can do in life. Not if you're reckless by nature. Never be embarrassed to struggle. There's absolutely no shame in working hard to get where you want to be. Okay? I agree. Rowing harder doesn't help if the boat is headed in the wrong direction. That's true. This is an NI point right there. You don't get paid for the hour, you get paid for the value you bring to the hour. That's depends on your job. Let the improvement of yourself keep you so busy that you have no time to criticize others. No. Let your improvement of yourself keep you so busy that you have no time to give other people commands, motherfucker. Guard well your thoughts and your words. By failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. I don't like preparation, though. Talking without thinking is like shooting without asking. Aiming, I mean. For you, do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. But then you'll get stickers in your socks. The fact that you aren't where you want to be should be enough motivation. Oh, thanks. So I'm just bad because I'm inadequately motivated when I should be adequately motivated. Stop telling people everything. Most people don't care and some secretly want you to fail. I will tell them everything anyway, so fuck off. It's a slow process, but quitting won't speed it up.
This is a 42-minute.
Yeah, what is this? It's like, why did this guy pick these quotes? He didn't pick them for a good reason.
Did he pick his own?
No, these are more. I've heard many of these or most of these before. But yeah, that's just terrible garbage.
That's a lot. That's a long time of quotes.
I want to make one of a video like that, but it's like 5 minutes worth of them, right? But it's just like, powerful quotes from ancient mystics. Everyone must learn before 40. And then I just make up some bullshit and put it in front of that, one of those screens, If you don't have the time to consider, can you really consider it to be time? The wisest man is one who moves forward while others are stuck in hesitation. Right? The wisest man is one who moves forward while others are stuck in hesitation. Ooh. Oh, wise. or reveal half of what you think. If you reveal nothing, people will think you secretive. But if you reveal all, they'll think you a fool.
It's so on.
Just completely made up bullshit. I know I had a drink.
You did?
I think. Didn't I get? There it is. All right, let's see what more quotes I can come up with while I smoke a cigarette. I can start with some ones that are intended to be like indistinguishable from real examples of that kind of bullshit. And then let them gradually get a little stranger, you know? Like, if you wish to receive mail on a Tuesday, you'll need if you wish to receive mail on Tuesday, you must complete your mailbox by Monday night. And people are like, how about okay? And I'm like, though failure may seem a weakness, failure and weakness are different things. Real courage is found not in being brave, but in steadfastly persisting in that which is dull. That's real courage? Yes. He who most claims to be correct invariably makes his audience think him wrong. Something like that. People who wish to make pumpkin pie had best check the cupboard for canned pumpkin first. That's a good rule of thumb to live by. If in your rush to take advantage of an opportunity, you move too hastily, you might fall, and those who move more slowly behind you trample you as they grab the opportunity. Oh, good point. When silence is insufficient to attain an outcome, try action. It won't do you any good to row a boat if you're falling from the sky. Even ducks know better than to climb into lava. Be at least as smart as a duck. Here's the takeaway from there. The mightiest forest is made up not only of trees, but also of forest. Ooh, interesting. If you wish to be struck by the light of the day, you must become first accustomed to the dimness of overcast. If the moon provideth not enough light, use you the stars, a torch, whatever you must. Parcodicus, 42 BC. When the people clamor for justice, one must be wary that it is not the people who are being unjust. To those who speak ill of you, afford a wan smile and say, "Did you drop that?" A man must protect his reputation above all else, except his money. Always be healthy, or, failing that, be sick. Just as a single stone may start a landslide, so too do I have pants on layaway at Sears. You buy your pants on layaway? Yes. Well, they're tough skins, they're getting pricey. Whenever life closes the door, you should avoid trying to walk through the wall without reopening it. If a fire provides a man warmth, it is good. But if a fire burns the man, warmth becomes his enemy. Let's see. There's no good way to travel west that doesn't involve diverting somewhat southwardly or northwardly occasionally. The metaphor there is you can only walk so straight a line. Just because you're drunk when pulled over, don't give up. You might pass the field sobriety test. I did. Don't shoot at geese in Kansas. That's a good one. Don't shoot at geese in Kansas is wise advice. Concerning yourself over exactly the right ignition temperature will only leave you with regrets. Just use a blowtorch. Good advice. If a man sits in a chair too comfortable, his bottom is likely to get sores. Yeah, true that. Worry less about your accomplishments and more about how to put even additional hours into the work week. When you work for a man, give him your best. But when you play with a man, make sure he's not gay first. This is life advice for heterosexuals, of course. Heteronormative quotes for a better life. Heteronormative quotes for a better life. That would be a good title for a book. If you're going through menopause,
Sorry.
if you're going through menopause, they have a drug for you now. Let's see. When something seems clear, certain, not in any doubt, that is when you must check again.
That's
Oh,
good. That's
good, yeah. A hot fire is good when baking ceramics. But a fire that's too hot will cause them to break. It's all about finding the right thing, it's a metaphor. If a man's eyes fail, he may wear glasses. If his ears fail, he may use an ear horn. But if his character fails, all is lost. The man who cares more about perceptions than his own authenticity is already in hell. That's a little FI propaganda for you there. If you don't respect the truth today, what makes you believe you'll find lies less enticing tomorrow? Let's see. If you can't hit the DMT with the vape pen, scrape it with your dental pick onto a bong rip. Good advice.
Good.
It's good advice. We did it. Let's see here. If you are to know love, you will know pain. But in that pain, you may find the sweetness of love. If you can't trust others, you can trust that others will not trust you. Don't argue with people. They won't be convinced. Instead, ask them how you can be useful. Don't be like Eric. You don't want that. You don't want to be like our guy. That's what this guy's quotes are basically saying. Don't be like Eric. There are those people who think it's important to reflect on things and understand. No such person ever achieved greatness in this world. You know, some of the Jackbox party pack games on Steam, Eric and Rachel, some of the games within can be a hilarious time. If it's played on the TV and players use your phone or iPad as a controller. Oh, that sounds complicated. That's like two different things? Three different things? You're confusing me. Stop confusing my baby. Okay, I know there's highly detailed work, so it's a little bit meticulous. I appreciate your patience.
Okay, not my shoes. No, don't bite my feet. You're such a wild cat.
Purple, are you being bad again? You know that Daddy doesn't like it when you're bad. Daddy wants you to be a good kitty. A good, just, fair, and true kitty. Not prone to wickedness.
I'm not trying to reinforce your behavior, but I can't help but pet you.
Rachel, there's no stopping that. You can't blame yourself for that. Once he's looks at you with those eyes and he's holding you with that body, I just know it. You just can't resist it.
What are some of the party games?
Are you talking about when you get here? That's cool. That's fine. Yeah, because then you'll be able to set it up. I don't have to figure anything out. I'm not a big fan of figuring things out, you know? Possibly because I'm terrible at it. But could be any number of other reasons too. Cool. Well, so the depressing reality of how popular completely silly self-help bullshit is. Those videos, those quotes and stuff, like 350,000 views. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to have ever more of these things suggested to me because I keep watching them and making fun of them on stream. I got past the capture problem, Winston's mom. I got past the caption problem. I'm now fine on Steam. I got successfully in, etc. The problem now is I don't have enough hard drive space to install the game I bought. So then I put Google Drive on sync to your hard drive for you to upload my shit. And that just doesn't seem to be, it's like stopped working after a little while. I'm not sure why. I was thinking about, well, what I need to do is exactly what Oflamo said. Oflamo was right when he said it. He was exactly right about me not listening and I should be listening to him, etc. Just buy a fucking external hard drive, Eric. Well, what are you doing? Listen to that guy. He may be strange, but he's speaking truth to you. Yeah, I solved the captcha conundrum only to discover I can't fit the game on my hard drive, and I'm not even close to having enough space.
Oh my god.
It's like I still have like 60 gigs to get rid of. Yes, there will be some karaoke. There will indeed. And, the cool thing is guests are coming early, so it's not just really a 1 day party. We're going to have fun on multiple occasions, I'm sure. In part because I enjoy fun.
I enjoy fun too.
I find it better than the opposite of fun, which I guess would be boredom or perhaps torture. Torture is the opposite of fun. God, those don't seem proportional to each other. But anyway, fun's fun. I like fun. Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? I gotta find somebody to love. What song is that?
I don't know.
It's a bad song, whatever it is.
Oh, is that Jefferson Airplane?
Is it Jefferson Airplane? I'm not sure. Show media, do you know if it's Jefferson Airplane? Regardless, it's not a good song. What I think Rachel and I might sing karaoke is a duet of Man Eater.
Yes.
Maybe we'll practice it ahead of time and we'll trade off lines. Like I'll go, bam, ba, bam, ba, bam, and you go, bam, ba, bam, ba, bam. Bam, 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 bam. And you go, bam, and then together.
Okay. I'm down to practice. If you don't mind practicing.
I like practicing.
Cool. Me too.
Oh, here she comes. Watch out, boys, she'll chew you up. Oh, here she comes. She's a man eater. Somebody to Love by Jefferson Airplane. It sounds very hippie, Just singing the one part that I sung, I thought like I'm not sure what this is, but it's like very Jethro Tull hippie-ish kind of shit, Well, I did manage to clean the stove top today. That's good.
Yeah, look good.
Did accomplished a little bit of something.
Yeah, you did.
Made a couple phone calls I needed to make. Did a PayPal transfer I needed to do. And talked shit about Jefferson Airplane, check.
I'm gonna wash some bread.
All right, see you. See you in there in
love
a
you.
super long time, probably. Love you too. So, naturally, if most YouTube stuff is just self-help nonsense, like most YouTube self-help nonsense is self-help nonsense, obviously. There are some things that seem better than that. Like, watching Dr. Todd Grande's video on the twin flame cult, it was good. It was a good video. He said a lot of good, right things, and he didn't say any wrong things. Very monotone, very like non-emotional in his affect. Oh, Capio is walking like an Egyptian. You're absolutely right. Well, I'm not saying I'm a regular watcher of Dr. Todd Grande or anything. But we did watch a video on the twin flame thing. I was interested in hearing about it. Rachel was interested in hearing about it, so we watched it. And, you know, he was right. He was right about everything he said. He didn't make necessarily what I consider a very good articulation of why certain indicators are indicators, but it wasn't that kind of super abstract thing, you know. I wonder if this one comes off. And if so, how? I probably would need a pair of pliers to try. He went after Teal Swan in a video? Good for him. You think he's INTP? I'm not sure. He could potentially be INFP, but I do think he's probably an INP. Anyway, he doesn't bug me at all. I'm just not necessarily interested in his videos. He seems responsible in his language, which I appreciate, you know. Well, show media. No, he's not an ENFP, I don't think. The one I find kind of creepy or off-putting or something is that other one is kind of like got a southern thing going on, Dr. Carter or something like that. Thanks, show media. Thanks for being a helpful Helen. I, for one, really appreciate it. And if I haven't told you before, I think you're extremely special. I want you to know that. You are unique. You're a unique flower of a unicorn. Everybody agrees. Everybody I've talked to or thought about talking to agrees. I like that guy, Jack Talcott. I don't know if he's correct about things in general, but he's not reckless in his words. Yeah, well, I don't find Dr. Todd Grande creepy or off-putting at all, but I do find Dr. Carter, and vice versa for you, listen to him. Yeah, I have plenty of people in the world find me off-putting. They're called people who hate all that is good. Or just people for whom I'm not their taste. That's possible, I guess. I don't dislike Dr. Ramani. I think she's fine. But you know, there's not that many psychology kind of things that I actually want to learn about or hear about from some psychologist. You know, it's like most of that shit's trauma related stuff, either about dealing with BPD people, dark triad people. Those are the juicy topics that people seem to watch, I guess, you know. Yeah, he seems like a good guy. Seems like a well. I mean, it's an odd assortment of people there, right? Like when I was there for such time, I was on that panel, and so was that guy who was talking about teas and what are they trying to tell us with the Mandela effect and all this, just like just flopping around failure to think well. I mean, there are people in varying stages of intellectual development and varying ceilings. You know, there's that libertarian guy, American flag guy, who's you know the government is the problem. Very NI in that way, reductively NI in that way. I don't know what to think about that. I mean, I do know what to think about that. It's just it's an experience that I had for stretches of time and enjoyed having prior to doing what I do now on YouTube. You know, I found it worthwhile for me for a while, but ultimately, I realized I'm not that into group discussions of any kind because rarely, if ever, is anything being talked about for which there's any new ground to be covered argumentationally. Like potentially one topic that would be interesting to hear them talk about at the panel would be aliens. They didn't want to talk about aliens because that's one where I think there's no resolutional skew really. Um, most most topics where people are going to go into conspiracy theory shit, I'm going to think of it either as the kind of conspiracy theory that is an example of bad thinking, or they will well let's just leave it at that. But what was I gonna say? I forgot what I was saying. So oh right. With most topics, the poor thinkers they don't they're not even in the same stadium as the more careful thinkers. But with aliens, even if they think yes, aliens, there's they're not they're not being wildly speculative, right? If they say no, there's not aliens, there's a government conspiracy to create an info war involving them. Well, I think that's very plausible. So that'd be a good topic because it allows even poor thinkers to argue a position that is believable or sustainable or whatever. Even though I may think the issue, at least in the status quo, pending new information, resolves against the existence of aliens. I certainly acknowledge that reasonable people can have the other position on the matter. Goblin gave Eric accolades. He did. Oh, good for him. Thank you, Goblin, for that. Moon landing fake? Uh, maybe. I'm gonna say no, but there's some weird shit about it that makes me really wonder. It's like 10, 15 years ago, I said, of course the moon landing is not fake. It's ridiculous. But the thing with the moon rocks really tripped me out. That really tripped me out. Like, I don't know how to explain that except by a reality in which we did not go to the moon to get rocks, right? Because according to like planetary Earth Moon science, whatever, moon rocks are indistinguishable from Earth rocks, and proof that, in fact, it was all once one planet. And then after the Chinese went to the moon and came back, uh, they're like, actually, the composition is different. And then NASA's like, oh yeah, we looked at our old rocks too, and now we see what you see, and we just didn't. I think what happened is we didn't have that rock to look at before. It got lost in storage or something. Um, like explicitly, they were like, well, is it because you couldn't detect the difference with the equipment back then, but now better equipment can detect it? And they're like, no. Shit you not. Shit you not. That's that's pretty fucking damning. Pretty strong evidence, right? Well, I mean, I've involved with it myself. I've involved myself with it before, and the way I involve myself with it is going like this. Okay, well, do you believe that do you believe in escape velocity? In other words, is it possible to um, launch something into outer space? Do you believe in outer space? Do you believe in satellites? I ask questions like that because if they believe that, say, pictures of a round Earth or from outer space are faked, then does that mean they don't believe we've ever been into outer space? If they don't believe we've been in outer space, do they believe it's possible to launch something into outer space at all? Like, is there such a thing as escape velocity? At which point, a given object traveling upwards leaves the Earth's gravitational pull such that it no longer falls back down to the Earth but begins an orbit around it. If they don't believe in escape velocity, and you go, okay, well, so do you believe in um, model rockets that shoot up into the sky? Have you seen a model rocket? If you believe in a model rocket, do you believe that we can make a much bigger model rocket than that? And if so, what happens if you keep going up, 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 up? What happens? I'd ask questions like that. I tend to, when I encounter something strange like that, I'm trying to think, okay, well, how far down does this go? Like, do you believe in the direction up? What do you think the sky is? What do you think makes people want to be flat earthers? I think that most people, we tend to kind of take it at face value that they are flat earthers because they've been convinced somehow by bad arguments. But obviously, what comes before all of that is a desire to believe things are very different than they're purported to be. Desire for a secret magical world that makes sense if you could just get behind the veils of secrecy. I knew that if Eric hears goblin enough, he's gonna call him his BS though. Haha was excited for it. Did I call him on his BS? I don't even remember what he said. It's like a lot of instances I hear what they say when I'm sitting there and they start talking and I go, oh God, they're doing that thing, whatever it is. Every once in a while, I don't know where they're going when they start talking. In which case, I think, did they know where they're going? Let's see. What are these sounds? It's like when I walk outside and it's loud out here now. It makes me happy. Why? Well, because we're moving. And I'm happy to have things I'm not going to miss. This is a great house, and there are plenty of things I am going to miss about it, I'm sure. But it's not like the rental we move into is going to be ultimately a better experience than living here. It's not. In this regard, we're doing like one of those quotes says, we're foregoing temporarily what we want in order to have it long term. And that's just good basic common sense muggities. But it does mean that it's going to be an interesting year or two. I'm excited about it, really, to be honest. More than anything else, I'm excited about it. I'm just thinking, well, we'll have shit going on in the works and niggities and stuff to attend to, and we'll be keeping our fingers crossed that we can make shit work with our tight budget, you know? Given what we need to acquire, we got a pretty tight budget. So what's up, man? Well, that means that just like that quote said, we're just gonna take the next small step. And right now, that small step is we are not talking or thinking about real estate. I believe that's the first of the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not talk about real estate. Those advices. I wonder if I could write a better set of advices like that, you know? Always do today what you can't do tomorrow. Shit like that, yeah. I think I could write a better one that's less function bias projection, you know? Or at least more understanding of the struggles of intuitives. You know, like great advice, be self-disciplined. Oh, I never thought of that. Be self-disciplined. I kept trying indulgence and it just wasn't working for me. Man, if I had read this a long time ago, boy, I would be so much further along my career path. It's like one piece of advice I would say is something like, you know, respect the boat analogy, but recognize when you're with a mutinous person. So, or how this, respect the boat analogy, but make sure how would I put it best? A relationship is like a boat. Be a good sailor, but make sure your partner is actually a sailor. Something like that. Because the problem with the boat analogy is this. If you're trying to live up to the standards of the boat analogy and be a good partner, you recognize your relationship as a boat. Once you push off from shore, you need to be able to rely on your partner if the waters get rough to help you row, or you know, so you can take turns keeping night watch for alligators and shit like that, right? The most important thing for two people on a boat together before they can do any good sailing is to know that both people are committed to doing the best job as a sailor and working together as best they can. They may not work very well together, but what neither of them will do is just threaten to jump off the boat and swim away. Actually jump off the boat and expect you to go jump off after them and drag them back to the boat. Things like that, right? There's a set of protocols to be gone through if you're going to separate as boat mates. You have to steer the boat successfully back to a port via a set of steps like a lot of conversations, maybe therapy or whatever, like you got to go through the requisite steps of having the relationship actually fail on its merits before you start, before you mutually determine to stop being boat mates. So the most important thing I think that partners can afford each other at the beginning of a relationship, at least once it gets enough into it that it's serious, is that if this doesn't work out, I will respect the requisite steps. There won't be anything sudden. There will be no surprises. It's like, which is basically saying, I may hate sailing this boat with you, but I'll respect the maritime law that we will get back to shore before I bail. It's something that my second wife and I successfully executed. And even actually my first wife and I really successfully executed it too. It took my first wife a long time to leave. She had to endure a lot of verbal abuse from me before she finally got the message that she was either going to understand the issue from my perspective, like truly understand what it means to cheat on somebody and behave accordingly in words and actions, or she was going to endure continual verbal abuse. She chose the second one. If you're in a boat, make sure it can float. That's an excellent quote, Jingle Balls. Do I have to watch you eat again? Didn't I just watch you eat? I'm pretty sure I did. But apparently, I didn't watch you eat enough. All right, let's go watch you eat. Okay, I'm coming. So, you may remember it was not long ago that I was talking about how this cat eats 10 times a day. Here we are again, watching the cat eat. I should write into one of those advice columnists. Dear Dr. Johansson, my cat is a mukbang addict. How can I help him without enabling this behavior? Dear Troubled in Cincinnati, it sounds like it's too late. You've already enabled this behavior. Now what do? It's time to set some boundaries. Thanks, Dr. Johansson. You make it sound so easy. You didn't even really eat very much, huh? You just wanted me to watch you stand on the table. Well, I've eaten some more salami. So you can check that off the list. It's a pretty important one to have on the list, of course. Go ahead, let you go. Go on now. Go on now and get. Well, life is hard and complicated sometimes. The days can be long, the days can be short. If you've got couch cushions, we'll build us a fort. As the old saying goes. That could be one of my quotes. Life can be brutal, life can be short. Really, couch cushions make a poor fort. Kind of a depressing quote. Sometimes you'll feel sad, and that will suck. One of these quotes, though, is important. Everything's going to be fine except Barbara. You're as blind as I am. It's just that we're blind about different things. You know, that's as true a statement as can be made as far as aphorisms go. It's actually true. I'm as blind as you are about something else, about different things, you know? Unless you're like me, in which case, then we're blind about the same things. Like a good quote would be, understanding might help you, but probably won't. Because only certain people benefit from understanding. Other people benefit from things like perseverance, figuring it out, how to fix something or whatever. Various other things than understanding. And understanding something is only useful in its own for its own sake insofar as the following conditions are met. Others don't have that understanding, and others want to understand better where your explanation provides better understanding. Only some people want to understand better, but everybody feels as though they understand more or less the things they feel they understand, you know? So, of course, then you got the issue of people who feel like they understand things but have no ability to test their own understanding. So it's like if you don't have a criterion for what comprises understanding, then you can't test to see if you understand anything. If when for to qualify as being understood, something merely has to be um, how to put it. If to qualify as being understood, one merely has to feel as though one understands it slash intuit it. Then even if you want to call that understanding, it's not a useful kind of understanding because it can't be conveyed to anybody else without asking them to make the equivalent intuitive connection. And even if they do make the equivalent intuitive connection, it still can't be like fully explicated because it's holistic. And the people who do that badly, you see it frequently done badly by 8th slot NI, some 7th slot NI, 4th slot NI. Salami heals all wounds. Well, it healed the wound of me being hungry. If you have a cat, make sure it's not fat. And give it a pat. Well, unfortunately, I have completely failed to make sure my cat's not fat. Because in reality, my cat is fat. He eats a lot, but if I don't give him food when he meows at me, he's just going to meow at me more and more and more. So, the small. I don't know what that means, but that's fine. I don't need to know what everything means. If I did, my need would never be met. Nobody always knows what everything means. Sometimes people don't know what anything means. Sometimes people only know what some things mean. And never does no one ever always know what means. It's called Nuh-uh by Josie and the Pussycats. I hope you enjoyed it. Why are you moving? I mean, it's a lot of reasons, really, but well, I mean, it's a two main reasons, really. We have a plan to purchase a number of rentals and, convert capital into monthly income in that fashion. And so it's a good idea to get some of the equity out of this house, put it towards rentals, and, live in one of those until we get the whole rental thing set up. But additionally, what's causing us to move with few to no regrets is we learned that some people across the street are going to begin construction in the spring on a new home on the hill right across the street from our house above us, such that like their second story or even first story window is going to look right into our second story window. It's it's going to be horrible. So no, I'm not talking about apartments. I'm talking about single family unit houses, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 3 bedroom, 1 bath, something like that. Ones we can pick up at uh, relatively low. The ratio of amount of rent you can get for something per $100,000 worth of house is higher here than it is most places. It sounds like work. It is work being a landlord, but it's work I'm very familiar with. And I'm aware of the things that make it a challenge sometimes. Sometimes people trash your place, sometimes people don't pay the rent, you gotta evict them, and et cetera, et cetera. It's certainly not like, you know what I want to do? I want to spend my time dealing with tenant problems. Obviously not. But um, now that I feel confident this plan can and should work as I'm envisioning it working. Now that I have this clarity, singularity of path and directionality, and an actual well founded faith that it will work, um, I, I feel certain and confident and happy to be engaging in this process. I know there will be hassles, headaches, whatever, but if by putting in a few years of good work, decent amount of work, making sure that I've got everything set up so that we're running an adequate positive cash flow, you know, it'll be well worth it. Then I won't have to stress anymore about our long term financial well being. Then may at least pick your renters based on their birthday so they won't give you any trouble. I think we'll pick them based on financials plus our intuition about them in an interview, what kind of people they are, etc. See how that plays. I would, as a director of kudos, I hired people. I've interviewed plenty of people. I didn't interview tenants with my parents and stuff and their properties. My parents owned rental properties um, all the way up until maybe 4 years before my dad died. Maybe 3 even. They owned one still in Bullhead, I think. So I've been involved in that family business for a long time. Not so much as an adult, but I was still ready to go on Sunday for dinner, hear about back when my mom was okay, hear about difficulties with this tenant or that tenant and stuff like that. When I was a kid, I did all the go to the property, paint it, get it ready for the new renters, etc. Did all that kind of stuff. I'm very familiar with the business. Yeah, we're staying in the same area. And part of the reason this whole thing is working is because Mariposa is very ripe for to do exactly what we're doing, because most people, until they established a moratorium a couple of years ago, not long ago, on vacation rentals, people who bought properties up here as investment properties uh, bought them and turned them into Airbnb vacation rentals, like nightly rate places, right? Well, as a consequence, and plus, there's various like zoning things for Mariposa that say the for this zone here, the smallest lot size allowed is 5 acres. For this zone, the smallest lot size allowed is 10 acres. So it's willfully, stubbornly low development. There's not even a stop sign in town, a stoplight in town. I mean, the whole county. So, so naturally, there aren't a lot of rentals available. In fact, there aren't a lot of houses to buy available. Um, like if you're in LA and you're like, I want to look at houses within this price range and these couple of areas here, you'll get gajillion results, right? Up here, you gotta wait for your property probably to show up on the market and pull the trigger at the right time on the right one. Um, you've got to be patient, but also decisive when the moment happens. When you need to be. So anyway, the point is there's a high demand, a higher demand for month-to-month rentals in Mariposa County by far than there is supply, which means you can get more for like a 1 bedroom, I mean a 2 bedroom, 1 bath or something than you'd think you'd be able to get given how much the house costs. Certainly in Los Angeles, to get meow amount of dollars for in rent for a place will require at least times and a half the amount of money the house would cost up here. So it's a native advantage to up here. Additionally, property taxes are lower here than most counties, and and the other thing is, well, I mean, I guess that's it, really. I mean, I guess the other thing is, I continue to think the county is going to gentrify increasingly while still staying low density. So some of the more squalid areas of Mariposa, where we're not actually even looking to possibly pick up a place. Like we went down to this place down off of Old Highway that was very kind of like people having a lot of cars parked on their land, manufactured homes or whatever. I suspect that over the years, the the pockets of kind of like what my realtor calls hillbillies will be displaced by investors buying what they correctly understand is a disappearing commodity in California and in fact in the entire country, which is low density rural but still can get to big cities. Like, we're 3 hours from everywhere. 3 hours from Oakland, 3 hours from Sacramento, 3 hours from Mammoth if the Tioga Pass is open. We're 5 hours from LA, hour and a half from Fresno, but we're still up in the mountains in rural, low density area. So, and it's also a libertarian slash conservative area. You can, if you live up here, there's a decent chance you like to go into the national forest and shoot guns and stuff like that. It's a county where a lot of, I guess, it's not really part of the county, but a lot of the stuff within the county is national forest. So, oh, well, there is a lot of homelessness in California in the cities and stuff. Another reason why property values are it's gonna gentrify increasingly up here. It's like there was a stretch of time where cities had their city center, and that was what it was. And then grew suburbs, where people who didn't want the kind of griminess of the city would go further out and then travel in via freeways or subways or trains, depending on the city. And then there grew to be exurbs, where the people who couldn't afford to live in the suburbs and didn't want to live in the city got cheaper suburbs further away from the city. The and then the unfortunate reality though is that kind of separation from the city that people understood to themselves to be attaining when they moved to either the suburbs or the exurbs proved to be a false separation, as homelessness and general urban decay uh, is a blight not just of exurbs, whatever, even worse there. uh, Mariposa County is not like that. Mariposa County doesn't have any city government, and there's not not a lot of tolerance for crime, vagrancy, and whatnot. Obviously, Mariposa County sheriffs have to follow the Supreme Court's ruling on what they can and can't do with homeless people, just like any other sheriffs do. But Mariposa is more or less free from this blight um, that afflicts the state. It helps that it gets very cold, although it doesn't get that cold in Mariposa. But when you are someplace that gets very cold, that obviously um, reduces homelessness there. The thing is, seeing it right now, just sort of a naturally occurring economics of the thing. Homeless people, when panhandling, for example, if if you live in a neighborhood where there's not any homelessness, and you see one homeless person and they're panhandling, you feel bad for them and you give them money. In other words, there's an advantage to being an early adopter of a given urban area in terms of homelessness, because the the non-homeless population's generosity isn't exhausted. I expect that either we'll see an economy that dramatically recovers and that manages to reduce some of the homelessness, you know, dramatic, like, um, what's the opposite of a recession? Uh, Boom, you know. A boom would make much of it go away, but it's a persistent problem until we address it intelligently as a nation rather than simply the Supreme Court issuing these unfunded mandates to municipalities. So if you're talking about like, well, aren't your property values ultimately going to be affected by homelessness? No, because where we are, and no, because it's going to be every place soon enough. California does have problems, but the biggest of the problems was the extended severe drought, which more or less resolved last year in like the wettest winter ever, you know. We've gotten a little bit of weather this this winter, but not a lot yet. It's still not quite December. Grainy vid. Hi, Chris Jenga. How are you? Well, no, Wilfett, I don't want to see a video of your granny. I'm sorry. It's just not my thing, okay? I don't want to see a video of your granny. Granny Fett, as she's known. You're doing pretty decent. I'm glad to hear it. That's better than indecent. If you were doing indecent, that means you wouldn't have any clothes on. And that would give me the vapors. So, I'm probably not super long for this stream here, but I'm not quite sure what I would do afterwards. Like, do I really have a TV show in me? I might have one in me to watch. Like, I'd kind of be interested in watching one. But do I have any TV shows that are ready to watch? I don't have any cartoons, because today, of course, is Horrible Tuesday. I don't think we have any Naked and Afraid, but there might have been a new one this past Monday. But normally I watch that with Rachel, and she's in bed, and she's like, I want to get up and watch Naked and Afraid. And I don't really want to watch it without her because it's one of the shows that we watch together. Which sometimes constrains me and sometimes doesn't. But with Naked and Afraid, it does. So if I were to do that, if I were to seek a television show to watch, I might have to like dig around, kind of rummage around in Netflix, rummage around in Hulu, you know. Something looks interesting. Occasionally you'll hit a winner, but you gotta kiss a lot of frogs before you meet your prince. So they say. I feel what is the emotion that I feel? Mm, probably like, well, we're out of Adderall already. Hopefully we can get off his next job. Look at this dirty carpet. Makes me want to wag both my fingers at myself. Didn't get anything done. Except you just live streamed your ass off all day. Well, I'll have residual Adderall tomorrow. Even though I won't take any tomorrow because I'm out of it. But after I sleep, I'll still have extra energy tomorrow. It won't be the next day that I really fully crash. So maybe I'll get a couple of things done tomorrow. Then I'll crash for a day or two. And before you know it, it'll be time for our wonderful friends to arrive. I'll put on my finest ball gown. Rachel will dress in her safari garb that she likes to wear. She likes to dress like she's hunting elephants. One of those tan hats, khaki, whatever. Let's see. Rachel, could you put on something blue to match me? She always says, I only have khaki. So, you know what I learned today? What Rachel doesn't have? A white shirt. She doesn't have a white t-shirt. Great. Well, just when we need you to have a white t-shirt, you don't have one. It's fine. It worked out just fine. I'll tell you why. She said, I'll wear this gray t-shirt. And I was like, well, here's a white shirt. And she looked at me like, this is a terrible idea. But I'm like, well, that's white. And so she's a trooper. She put it on. Obviously, it did not look like Falco's shirt at all. Color was not the determinant factor in the matter. In fact, her gray t-shirt looked very much like Falco's shirt. The fact that it was light gray and not white was little significance. But yeah, neither of us had a white t-shirt. It's like, what is this world coming to? When people don't have white t-shirts anymore. I've got bun huggers still at least. Or again, got bun huggers still time. So I don't have to hang my head in too much shame, I guess. I I will survive. I know as long as I have got my love, I know I'll be alive, and I've got meow 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 meow. You have a drawer full of white t-shirts? Good for you, Lou. Do you have bun huggers? Do you also have a drawer full of bun huggers? Then you can look like a little boy. You need to just put on some bun huggers and a white shirt and you look like a 6-year-old boy. Thanks, darling. I'm glad I have bun huggers too. It used to be my buns were lonely, needed human touch. Needed hugging and loving, and they needed so much. Then bun huggers came and hugged my bun's loneliness away. That's why my buns are no longer lonely. They get plenty of hugs. Most importantly, my genitals are hugged as well. Gathered up, brought towards my body. Like, hey there, you trying to run away? Come back in here closer. That's the real purpose of bun huggers. They're like, that feels so protected somehow. By a bit of a helicopter mother, like, Don't worry, I've got you. That's what bun huggers feel like. Because they could just as easily be called junk huggers. Junk huggers and bun huggers name the same thing, which should really be called junk and bun huggers. Or double hugs. It could be called double hugs. Reciprocating double hugs. You don't want to put a reciprocating saw in your underwear. Even for you to be putting in your underwear. Boxer briefs. Boxer briefs. The spork of underwears. You could say that the spork is the pickling of cutlery, and boxer briefs are the spork of underwears. Trouble, beat, nice. Since girls get to wear training bras, I want to wear some training hugs. To train my junk to be hugged. Right now, I'm not wearing any hugs, actually. I'm just wearing sweatpants under short pants. I'm underneath the sweatpants. Commando, as they say. Which always is, unhugged experience. Coming from the warmth of his family bun hugger home, my junk really is acutely aware of how cold and distant my sweatpants are in comparison. God, what's wrong with these sweatpants? Do I smell or something? Yes, you do. But that's not even the very beginning of this discussion, okay? But bun huggers, I'm tired of hearing about bun huggers. I'm here, I'm sweatpants, okay? Don't try to make me be bun huggers. He just sits in silence then, flopping around. Won't there be someone swaddle me in loving embrace? You'll have to wait till tomorrow when I put on bun huggers. Sir Flops a lot. I'm Corporal Flops a lot, actually. Oh, right, I forgot. You were promoted to corporal. Directly from private first class. I skipped whatever was in between. Sergeant? Yeah, skipped that one. Lieutenant? Skipped it. And corporal comes after that. Maybe. You don't even know? Aren't you in the military? Yeah, but the penis military is a little different than the full person military. Oh. How did you get promoted to corporal? Uh, well, if you successfully complete X number of missions on the same bombing strip, then you get promoted. And recently, my wife and I hit 1 million intercourses. It takes 1 million intercourses just to get the corporal? Wow. When are you and Rachel having all this sex? When you're asleep. Is Rachel awake? Part of her is. Huh. Rachel, did you know this? Did you know that our genitals were having sex when we were asleep? Okay. It's called sleep sexing. It's equivalent to sleepwalking, and we can't help it. The important thing is not to try to wake us up, because it could cause a lot of trauma. Okay, I could be like, where am I? It's dark, it's wet, where am I? And I could believe maybe I'm drowning in a hot tub like Matthew Perry. Well, I'll make sure not to wake you up if I see you sleep pumping. I think that was perfect timing for the Matthew Perry joke, actually. If you wake me up too suddenly, I'll be like, oh, it's warm, it's wet, it's dark. Am I Matthew Perry? It's warm, it's wet, it's dark. I can't breathe. Anyway, I got a conspiracy for you. Let's start a conspiracy theory that Matthew Perry is still alive, like Elvis. He faked his death in a hot tub as part of his anti-hot tub agenda. Who does who type himself as what now? I type myself as an ENTJ. That's why I'm super successful this way. I'm running marathon and climbing Everest too. I started a corporation for you. Who loves utility? I love utility. Who loves utility? I love utility. What you love it for? Useful things. I got goals. I have an ENTJ goal song somewhere that I freestyle. It's like, I've got goals. You need goals. You want goals? Let's get some goals. How many times has this cat eaten today? It's ridiculous. It's not possible. It's inconceivable that you need to eat this much food. Nothing needs this much food. Like, a hummingbird needs to eat this often, maybe. Capillo, I don't like it when you play this game. Thank you. Because with Capillo, it's really a crapshoot. about half the time, if I get impatient, you're like, come on, go. And I like try to push her a little bit. She'll turn right around and come back inside. This cat, meanwhile, whatever is happening, is probably making me watch him eat. At any given moment of the day, you say, if you were to call me at any given moment and say, what is happening right now, Eric? The decent chance the answer would be, I'm watching my cat eat. I mean, it's a lot easier if you were to step outside and use a telescope and point it at my house. It'd be a lot easier to happen to catch me watching the cat eat than it would be to happen to see Skylab fly overhead. I mean, Starlink. Rachel and I both saw it. I saw it twice. It's crazy because it's not. It's like you have to just get super lucky to stand outside. It takes about at most a minute to go from one end of the horizon to the other. Maybe 2 minutes at most, but not long, you know. So I guess we got really lucky because it's also not necessarily visible wherever you are on any given night. Only some nights. Rachel has an app on her phone or something that tells her when it is going to fly over, supposedly. But I don't know if it works or not. We'd have to successfully use it for me to be convinced that it works because of my SI knowledge function. Oh, yes. Because you love the flavor in your mouth. You love the attention I'm patting south from your shoulder blade. While you chew your food. Yes, you're a very good kitty. You're what's known as history's biggest pain in the ass. A long time ago, during the Middle Ages, there was a monk named John David Smith. He was he set, at the time set the record for biggest pain in the ass in the world, and that stood all the way until trouble. So that's how big of a pain in the ass this cat is. He broke a record. It was like, 600 and some years old. So maybe longer, 700 and some. That would be like me breaking the high jump record, except if the high jump record were 35 feet. That'd be a pretty high jump. It would be good to be in the Olympics. They say, okay, where do you want to start at? 35 feet. This is the high jump, not the pole vault. I know. I've been working on my legs. I have got some real spring. I've been doing a lot of these squats. You'll see. I'm gonna jump. I'm not just gonna jump 35 feet. I'm not gonna Fosbury flop it. I'm gonna hurdle that motherfucker. Just let me get a bit of a running start. Here we have the United States' air travel attempting what would certainly be a world record 35 feet. He's being on his approach. And he's jumping. He's failed to clear it. He's not gotten within anywhere within 32 or 33 feet of the goal. Oh, you think I'm an EIS and TFJP? I might be, but you know, I'm not constrained by those letters. You know, nobody is. We're all everything all the time. Okay. You don't know me. You don't know me. I am all things to all people in all ways. That's what makes me so special. All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to wrap it up, and then I'm going to watch a little meow of some sort, and then I'm going to go to bed. I feel I'm not sure which emotions I feel. So probably the emotion best be described as at the moment, but with an anticipation of oh in the morning maybe. Even though we won't be any speed, I'm looking forward to the upcoming couple of weeks. Should be fun. So thanks for being here. I love you all. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.